Hey there, YouTube. Sir Daniel 1975 back here again, and get ready to sand the plastic so that the paint will adhere to the plastic much more. I have done some gap filling, so that'll improve the model right there. And when I come back, I will have sanded and I'll be ready to start painting. Okay, there YouTube, I'm back here again, ready to paint. Base coat on. I use this particular brand's Dolphin Gray. It's just the cheap stuff that you can get at Wally World. And got it in here, and I've got it watered down too. You don't want to put it on thick because it will it could really go on too bad, and it might not dry in an even way. Of course, when it's watered, it doesn't go on watered down. It doesn't go on very even the first coat. You're going to have to do 2 coats for a base coat at least. If you don't water it down, like I said, it gets too thick in spots. Sometimes it gets really bad looking. It gets a funny texture to it, and then you feel like you want to remove the paint. Now, if you're using a airbrush, and I'm not used an airbrush, so I'm not sure what the what the mix is on that. I'm not sure if it gets watered down or not. Which I suspect it does get watered down a little bit, which will really helps the paint, like I said, not go on too thick. You don't want it to go on thick. It will look so bad. And the other thing is it destroys the detail on these little ships. These little models today, I mean, the detail lines are so fine on them. It's really easy to destroy the detail lines. So, like I said, it ain't going on very thick at all. And like I said, I lightly sanded it. And that's what I'm going to show you. When I come back, I'll had 2 coats done on the bottom of this ship. Hey there, YouTube. If you hear any noise in the background, it's my dryer running. Anyway, the base coat on the belly or the bottom of the ship is complete. It's just so as a reminder, it looked like that color first, and now it's like that. It came out pretty good. Detail lines are still in there really well. I didn't really get all of this stuff yet, so some of that I might go in there with a finer brush, because I want to also do the clear plastic pieces, because they're supposed to look like engine lights or nacelle lights. Some people say nacelle. But anyway, it came out pretty good, especially for a brush job. As you all know, I brush paint, not spray. And when you come back, I'll have done the top. And then after that, I'll work on these pieces, engine pieces, and possibly the deflector dish. And then after that, I'll start doing the rest of the detail paint for the panels and things. So, alright, catch you on the next clip. Hey there, YouTube. I have completed main base coats on both sides. Get a little closer. So, detail's still good. So, now I'm going to start working on these sections right here, and then I will also possibly start working on some of the panels. I think I'm going to do a dark gray base coat on these sections and then highlight out the detail so that it stands out more, and I'll go from there. And so I'll probably work on the dark gray panels as well. So when I come back, I will have done some more work. Hey there, back again. The detail paint on the top is complete. So I will show that off a bit. So now it's time to do the bottom. Usually I do the bottom first, but I did the top first this time, but that's okay. I got a solution for that. So I have this old dish towel it's been cleaned, but it's permanently stained, so I don't really care about it. So that's going to be what I lay the model on so I don't scratch the paint off the top. So when I come back, I'll have the lower or the bottom detail paint done, and then we can go from there. Catch you on the next clip. Alright, YouTube, as you can see, well, not yet, I haven't shown you the bottom, but the detail paint on the bottom is complete. Also, section there, and the front section. So I'm going to, and I've let it dry for a while, I'm going to give it a coat of polyacrylic, possibly 2 coats. No, I'll give it a coat, let it dry really good, and I'm probably not going to do anything else for at least 24 hours, possibly even longer. This way when I go to do the other techniques like giving it a wash and lines and stuff like that, I don't wipe away any of the polyacrylic and paint. So, alright, catch you on the next clip. Hey there, YouTube. Sir Daniel 1975 here, and I've let the polyacrylic dry, and so now I'm starting to work on using the wash that I've made to bring out the detail lines. So I'm gonna zoom in there on the under part of the nose. You see the little black lines there. So that's what I'm doing. So basically you take a fine brush, you dip it in the wash. Don't put too much on it. Notice I dipped some of it off, and then you come where there's a line, and then you just dab it into the line. Sometimes it'll run through, sometimes it won't. And if it's not a good, because I'm using a homemade wash, so it doesn't work quite as well as the expensive stuff over the shelf. But anyway, and then like if you make a mistake, you dry it off, and then you take the brush dry back, and then you soak up the mistake, and then you dip it away. So then you try it again. And it's a lengthy process, but it works really well, and it comes up with really nice model results. And sometimes you'll have to go over stuff more than once just to get the right look that you're after. I know I've had to do that with a lot of models, or at least the models I've been doing lately. And sometimes you don't really get the look you really want with the homemade stuff. It's definitely not as good as the stuff over the counter. Some people will take a toothpick or a needle and do this so they can get the right fine amount into these fine lines. So I'm actually going to turn the ship right here to get these lines, because it's not setting in the other direction. And just want it. Basically, what you're doing is you're dirtying up the detail lines so that they show. And the Defiant is a ship in Star Trek that is a tactical vessel and has seen a lot of action. And so it probably would have had more combat scoring than the average Starfleet vessel. So that's my reasoning for putting a little extra weathering to this ship. Most people don't weather up their Starfleet ships too much. They want them to look a little bit clean. But the Defiant is a little bit different as far as your average Starfleet ship. So anyway, when I come back, I'll have done the bottom. Hey there, YouTube. Back again. And I have done the weathered lines on the bottom. On camera, it looks a lot cleaner than it actually is. It's actually pretty well weathered looking for a Starfleet style ship from Star Trek. But I like it. There's the other side, which isn't done yet. Although there was a drip while working on it. Some of it ran around to the other side, and I did have a drip spot, like right there, that I had to clean. I got like 95% of it up, which is okay. I can actually paint over that again if I needed to, and then start from fresh, which I'm probably going to do. And I'm seeing that I just picked up another stain spot, but that one's solved. That's okay. But anyway, there you go. I'm going to let it dry for like 24 hours or so, and then I'm going to start working on the other side to get that pretty much the same way. And then after that, when they both dry really well, I will spray some of the polyacrylic on it, and from there I will then do the decals, and then after that I will coat it again. So it will be a really cool ship once it's done, and I'm pretty proud of it. It's coming out pretty good, and I'll catch you on the next video. Alright, YouTube, I have done the weathering process with bringing out the detail lines that I'm going to do with it. Some spots didn't stick well, so I used it as opportunities to make it scoring spots, and I actually went over the bottom and did it again. I had kind of readjusted the mixture of my homemade wash, and so when I was working on the top, I noticed that it was sticking into the lines better, so I went back and I did some of the bottom, or all the bottom, over again. So anyway, there you go. It's going to sit there and dry really good, and then I will polyacrylic it, and then after that I will put the decals on, and then polyacrylic it again, and then she will be done. So I am very happy with this model for being about the size of my hand. You know, it's a really small model. I don't really like to work on these small models, but I'm starting to realize that if I'm going to do more models with my limited space, I'm probably going to end up doing more small ones. So anyway, there you go. And when I catch you again, I will have put the decals on, and she will be 100% complete. Alright, YouTube, I have done the I think all the decals that I'm going to do on the top of the ship. So let me just kind of give you a pass of them. Focus in, there you go. Okay, so she's coming together. Almost done. I just got to do the decals on the bottom, which I'm going to let these dry overnight and real good so that I don't damage them by turning the ship over. So, alright. Hey there, YouTube. Just about finished. I've actually gotten most of the decals on that I'm going to do, because the majority of the decals were the detail pieces that I painted by hand, so I didn't have to do those. But it's the pinstripes that I was putting, and the letters and numbers, you know, like USS Defiant and stuff, that I was putting on. But there was one set of pinstripes. There's one here. Let me key to it. This one right here. Let me back it up. It's a little out of focus. Okay, you see this bend here? That bends the right direction, but when it bends back straight, it actually makes it wrong. So when it wraps around the other side, because it goes on these spots here, and that one would have been the one for here. So when it went around the other side, it would have bent out over the piece. So no matter what kind of manipulation I did to it on the other one, it was either going to have big bubbles in it, or it was going to be sticking out. And I guess I could have cut it and mended it and put it on, but I decided, you know what, let me paint those pinstripes. So I have painter taped off the edges, and I'm going to do that and do it on camera. So it's the last bit of paint you're going to see. And I'm not watering down this paint because I don't need it to leak under the painter's tape. And it might take a couple coats to fill it in right. And so when on the next video clip after this will be me removing it, or I've already removed it and don't have. There's actually a piece of yellow and some more gray that I need to paint in. So we shall see what happens. Now the other issue is paint could still leak through even though I'm not using watered down acrylic paint here, and it might not be perfect, which is fine. If I tried to paint these by hand without the painter's tape, it would be a ridiculous mess. That's a very thin line to do. So anyway, as you can see, let me move this closer. I have painted in those spots. So I'm going to let it dry and come back to it in a while and paint it again. And it's probably going to take 2 or 3 coats to get it as nice and bright red as the rest of the pinstripes. Alright, catch you on the next clip. Hey there, YouTube. Sir Daniel, 1975 here, and it's finished. Okay, just wanted to show it off there a bit. Okay, on the stripes there you can see it's faint red. That's actually not my paint. The paint method didn't work. When I pulled up the painter's tape, it pulled all the paint off. So I had to rethink it, and I said, you know what, I have some other Star Trek decals from that Enterprise model, and it says, let me see if I got any red stripes, and I did. So I have these really faint red stripes. They didn't go on, those decals didn't go on real smooth and well, but they're there. But anyway, and they're not as thick as those pinstripes as they should be, but I wanted there to be the red stripe there. So there's a red stripe. It's not the proper one, but it's there. And so anyway, she's done. I'm still very happy with it, and I think this might now be my new best model. So despite even with the issue with the red pinstripes on the front of the cells. So anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. It was a fun model to do, and for being this size, which is about the size of my hand, maybe a little bit bigger. I don't usually like to do models that are this small, but I've actually liked this one. And I guess I'd recommend it because most of the detail lines that were on the ship are correct. The one thing I would say is you're going to need to pay extra care with the decals, because some of them are too long. You're going to need to trim them, and it's particularly on the ones that go here. You need to trim it about right there once it wraps around, because otherwise it sticks off if you want it to lay smooth. And that's what I should have done, but I didn't do that. I trashed the one that I put down there because I was frustrated with it. And then I still have the one that could go there, but it didn't make sense to put one on and not the others. So anyway, there you go. I enjoyed it. Certainly the detail is defined enough that you can hand paint it. And I am not the best painter, as some are. And I did it by hand. So if I can do this by hand, most of you probably could too, if you take your time. And in my opinion, the painted detail looks better than the decals, because the decals have a funky shine to them, even after they've dried and been, and then you put some kind of a coating over the model, protect it. So anyway, there you go. I'm very happy with the ship, with the USS Defiant. It's a pretty cool ship. It's a lot of people's favorite, or one of their top favorite ships from Star Trek. Alright, there you go. Thanks.